Hi and welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about two knives that I carried for the full week and I carried them together. The first one is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. The second one is a Case Copperlock. So let's talk about the Spyderco first. The Paramilitary 2, this one comes with G10 scales in black, real aggressive, which I happen to like, and the edges, while they're kind of rounded, they could be a little bit more. You've got pocket clip attachments for lefties and righties, tip up and tip down. So they have all the bases covered there. You have a lanyard hole, and you've got a top lock system, which is unbelievable, really good. We'll open this one up. Actually, you know what we'll do is the close on it. So we've got a blade steel of CPM S45 VN. Okay, and this is a full flat ground blade, and Spyderco's, as we know, come out of the box super sharp. Their steel is really fantastic. Their heat treatment tends to lend to a harder blade, which could be a little bit brittle, but if you're using the knife for what it's made to do, then you shouldn't be breaking anything off this knife. I know some people complain about the tips being brittle. Well, that tip is nothing to be prying anything with. I mean, this is a slicer all the way, and it's a plunger, and but you know, you do have to be careful with how you use your knife. And like I said, if you're using it for what it's intended for, you'll be fine. If you have to think twice about it, don't do it. The jimping is fantastic. Aggressive, but not sharp. Perfect size, perfect areas. And what I love is they give you the jimping where it really counts on a knife, where all knives should give you jimping. And that's for your bottom finger when you choke up on the choil, because this will prevent your fingers from sliding, because it's not really a deep choil, but with the jimping it makes it that much more effective. So really nice knife in hand. I couldn't take this out too much in work. I had to be careful, which is why I had the case with me, but this performs flawlessly. So now let's go over a couple of things that I really think the knife should change, and that I would probably change on it. So your torque screws, you have basically three different sizes. You got one for the pivot, and then your scale attachments are one different size, and then you've got a different size for the pocket clip. So basically you have three different size torque screws. I like to see one all the way around. It just makes it that much more inconvenient. The other thing about this knife that I really don't like, and there's not much on this knife I don't like, but the pocket clip is really not good. It is a hot spot. For whatever reason, they just didn't start here and taper down from the screws. You've got this hump here, and then it comes up with a flip, and then it straightens out again. So in the hand, while this knife is super comfortable, I can feel that pocket clip against my palm, and it's not comfortable. So if you're going to hard work this knife, this is really not good at all. I would have liked to seen a pocket clip similar to this in design. Okay, and this is a Shirogorov, which is a wonderful pocket clip, and you can buy really good pocket clips for like 20 bucks. So that would be an immediate change for me. And people will say, oh, well, I'm spending, $150 to $200 on a knife. Why should I buy into the pocket clip? Well, I've seen people put scales on a knife that was 50 bucks, and they're paying $15, $20 for scales. So you know, if you love the knife, get yourself a different pocket clip. That's what I would recommend. Um, some people don't like all the holes showing for the pocket clip attachment. Well, it doesn't bother me at all. Really could care. All I know is that this knife is great in hand, lightweight, great in the pocket, strong, thick spine on this blade, sharp as heck, great steel, and probably the best feature about this knife is the top lock. Super strong, ambidextrous, uh, just a all-around great knife. And the only thing that held me back from buying one of these, and this knife has been out for a long time, is I think why a lot of people hold off is the look. You know, it's not an attractive knife. You know, it doesn't look like this. You know, it's kind of kind of blah. Uh, but when you get one in your hand and you actually use it, and then you realize, you know what? Some of the greatest things are really not that great looking. They function fantastic, and looks really doesn't have a lot to do with it when you talk about form and function. When you get this knife in hand, or whichever Spyderco that fits your hand, you're going to realize that this crazy blade shape is crazy for a reason. They probably designed this blade around the thumb hole, you know, and it's in a perfect spot. And I've got big hands, and it's just a pleasure. So that's the Spyderco Para 2. Wonderful knife, USA made in Colorado. Less than $200, and just a fantastic knife, and super light. I would just change that clip really, and then we're good to go. The next one, and the one I used most often inside the building where I was, is this 2025 case copper lock. Now this is the first one I've ever had, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm really struggling to find anything wrong with this knife. And I know this is crazy, but just in my week in using it, the week I took to use this knife, and I've only had it for a week, there's nothing I can really say that I don't like about this. It has everything that I look for in a knife. So we'll start off with the black smooth handles. Real nice. The pins are flush. The shield is flush. Silver nickel bolsters. Love the copper lock. The copper head bolster up top. The blade itself, great drop point. Nice aggressive swedge to it. Love the long pull. This is a stainless steel version, and I'm really a fan of these top locks. They feel safe. They feel good in hand. While I do have, like with these knives, I have the liner locks and I have the frame locks, but I love them. I mean, they're great knives, but once you get this in the hand, you realize that it's just easier to use, and it's a little bit safer to use because your fingers aren't in the way of the blade when you're locking the knife. This knife is just fabulous. Thin, just the way I like it. Hardly weighs anything. It's got a nice spine to it, and I put an edge on it. It comes with that usual case edge, a little rough, so you just strap it up a bit and it starts to work for you. Really not anything bad to say. Full hand on the knife, and the copper head bolster lends to that index finger laying against it, and prevents it from moving forward if you're doing anything. Just a beautiful knife, becoming, one of my favorite designs. And I know I say that about a few knives, but this has been a pleasure so far for the week that I've carried it. And carrying them together really wasn't a problem because we have two really light knives, two definitely different knives for different purposes. This is a kind of a workhorse, and this can do the job also, but a little bit lighter duty. And yeah, so real pleased with carrying both of these. And listen, I appreciate you coming by, checking it out, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care and have a great day.